Allergies acting all crazy. And my allergies acting all crazy. But I mean, any way you slice it, it's a hot topic. And it's not. This is not like something that we're all going to be able to agree on, and that's okay. It's okay, and it's not okay at the same time. And I'll tell y'all why. Listen, Urban Therapy with Sun 752, and this your daily go get 'em is a number one K78. Yeah. So today we want to ask: Are the whoopings worse? I mean, working the way that they used to? Do they work anymore? Whooping your child, when you whoop that ass, does it have the same effect as it used to have back in the day when we was getting our asses whooped? Are you able to put the fear of God into your children the way that you used to be able to do it? Should you even employ that technique? Has it ever really worked? Like, we always talk about the way our parents, whether we talk about single mother, whether we're talking about both parents or whatever, we talk about how aggressive they were in disciplining us, corporal punishment basically. And some of us say it kept us out of trouble, it kept us grounded, it kept us from wilding out, acting crazy and acting a fool. Some of us say that. Others of us say, yeah, I was scared, and yeah, I got my ass whooped, but I still did what I wanted to do. We credit this generation, this current generation, like the millennials or whatever. We credit them with being so aggressive, so violent, so reckless, so crazy. And I really don't see a difference between the way that they are and the way that we were growing up in the 80s. Being a teenager in the 80s, it was wild, real wild. Being a teenager in the 90s was wild too, because I watched that. And I was in my 20s in the 90s, so I wasn't that far removed from teenage life, in the 90s. So, but I knew that both generations were very, very violent. Basically in the 80s, it was the beginning of a lot of gunplay, but there were definitely a lot of fights, hand to hand. Excuse me, a lot of hand to hand action. You had to you had to know how to hold yours. You had to be able to get your box on a little bit. In the 90s, the gunplay really started to come into play. Heavy artillery, a lot of the gang violence and stuff like that. I don't know. Actually, any era since probably the 60s, you started to see a lot of guns. Excuse me, y'all. My allergies are really, really giving me a time tonight. But anyway, so did the whoopings that we received from our parents, did it stop us from becoming gangsters? Did it stop us from going to jail? Did it stop us from getting pregnant while we were teenagers? Did it stop any of these things? Did it stop us from getting into trouble? Did it stop us from going back and forth to court, getting in shit? Did it stop us from getting letters sent home to our parents? Did it stop us from getting suspended? Did it stop any of these things? Most of the people that I know got their ass whooped, but most of the people that I know did whatever they wanted to do in spite of the ass whooping. So of course we didn't do the things that we knew would get us our ass whooped, but we did do whatever it is that we wanted to do, as far as being young and wild and free and reckless and crazy and experimental and all of those kind of things that adolescents do. So I hear a lot of people from our generation say that these teenagers nowadays need to have their asses whooped. Well, I'm thinking like, okay, let's just say that they did get their asses whooped. Would it work? Is it working? Because I know plenty of teenagers that still get their asses whooped. Plenty of kids who still get their asses whooped. But you know what I still see? I still see them getting in trouble. I still see gang violence. I still see teenage pregnancy. Not nearly as much on the scale as it was in the 70s, 80s, and 90s. I'll give them that. But there are other reasons that influence that, and those aren't good reasons. I mean, quite honestly, on some real shit, the reason why you don't see as much teenage pregnancy as you used to see are, for number one, Many of our young people have been sterilized without them even having knowledge of that. Men and women, they're being sterilized through the food. That's number one. Number two, many of them are so. There's so many homosexuals now. All that gay shit, Of course, you're not going to have as many babies. You need a man and a woman in order to create a child naturally, and nowadays a man being with a woman or a boy being with a girl ain't as natural as it used to be. I'm just keeping it 100. You can try to dispute that all you want, but that's a big difference between this generation and our generation. Just those are just facts. But another fact is that there are still parents to this day who believe that they can whoop their child in shape, and I mean whoop them. Belt off, extension cord out, whatever. I don't know if people still get beat with extension cord, or with a heel toe shoe, or with a house shoe or slipper, as whatever. A wire hanger, switch, whatever. Yeah, children still get their ass whooped, but I think that a lot of people in our generation realize that it just doesn't work the way it used to. And there's a thin line between discipline and abuse. And many of us, not me, definitely not me, but many of us have been abused, and we didn't even really realize that we had been abused, or that we were being abused, until we got a little bit older and we realized, that was excessive. If you're a parent and you whoop your ass until your ass get tired, till you get tired, that's abuse, and it's not going to work. You know what I'm saying? There's so many theories on this whole thing. A lot of people feel like the reason that we beat our children is because of the way we used to get beat during slavery. So a lot of people do not spank their children because of that fact. I understand that, and I respect that. Still, you have to find a way to be able to discipline your children, even if you're not going to employ whoopings. And, to be quite honest with you, sometimes a whooping is necessary. But you have to make sure that the whooping is not only necessary, but that it's effective. If you have to keep whooping ass, then what you're doing is not working. That's simple, man. That's not hard to understand, right? It's easy. Real easy, you know what I'm saying? Let's get on up out of here, man. Listen. Wait a minute, I had to tell y'all one more thing. Like I said, a lot of parents who talk to parents, who observe parents who don't whoop their children, they think that they should whoop them. And the people who don't whoop their children, they stand by that. They don't think that you should ever touch a child in any way that's violent. I think balance in all things, just like nature. Don't beat your child just for making mistakes, or for learning new things, for trying new things, for exploring. If they're disrespectful, if you've told them time and time again, and they're disrespectful enough to disobey you, you may have to pop them upside their head. It may not always be about the belt. Sometimes you pop them upside their head, and it improves their hearing a little bit. It improves their attention span a little bit. Good things happen to those who wait. Great things happen to those who grind. And anything can happen to those who go for this. One more thing. A lot of children are basically snitching on their parents. So Child Protective Services has messed up the whoop ass game. I don't know. I have mixed feelings on that. Because that's something that our generation would never even think of. Snitching on your parents because you got an ass whooping, probably for something that you did. But a lot of people think that that's the reason that a lot of these parents do not use corporal punishment, corporal discipline on their children because they fear that they will be locked up and get a criminal record dealing with children. Child abuse record. I don't even think that it really comes in to play that much. So, still, you have to find a way to raise your children effectively and have them be developed well and adjusted well, and you still have to give them the love, the time, and attention, and the education, and the tools for success that they're going to need. So give it to them. And don't forget to listen to the Urban Therapy with Sun show tomorrow. The title of the show: the reason that they turn their back on you. You ever had somebody turn their back on you? I mean, turn their back on you, straight dish you, leave you out there all by yourself. How can that be right? How can it be justifiable? Well, we're going to get into that tomorrow night, September 13th, 2017, 11:30 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, going into the next day, going into September 14th. All right? So, 11:30 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, check out the Urban Therapy with Sun show tomorrow. The reasons that they turned their back on you. It's going to be hot. Real high, you know what I'm saying? And I'll holler at y'all later. Peace. Oh, and don't forget about the Daily Go Get 'Em show every single day. Every single day, 9 a.m. Eastern Standard Time.